My name is Jonathan and I'm doing a tutorial here on using the setup mode for Camera Lucida. Now, the reason you use the setup mode with Camera Lucida is to overcome parallax issues. Parallax happens when you have a iPad or your drawing device and you have it on a stand, and when you put it on the stand leans the iPad back a bit. So that angle is the angle of the iPad, but your drawing surface is flat. So the reason why you get parallax issues is because when you angle something and you then have a flat surface, what you get is a parallax issue where the image either spreads outwards or the image spreads inwards. So with Camera Lucida, Peter has designed two crib sheets, if you like, which enable you to automatically set up parallax so that you don't really have to do anything much to make sure that your iPad is actually nice and square when you come to do your drawing in relationship to your drawing surface, which is obviously in front of you and in front of the iPad. So we're going to go through those. Now, there's an automatic mode which uses this image or your own image, and there is a manual mode which uses this image. And they're both used in subtly different ways. So the first one we're going to look at is this one, which is the automatic mode. So the first thing we need to really understand is, how do we find these? Quite often I see on the forums and in various places people asking, where do we get it from? We have to download it from the website or whatever. No, you don't have to download it from the website. You can get it straight from the app. So when you load Camera Lucida onto your system, you'll see that there's, your interface screen, and hopefully you're reasonably familiar with that screen. So there are two types, as I say. There's the automatic mode and the manual. With the automatic mode, we just go up to the left hand side here, and if you see, we've got two icons. We have basically the very top, which is like a hamburger menu bar, and underneath that we have camera. And when you select that camera, you get another menu that slides in from the left hand side. And because I'm using the OSMO device, because I want to draw it in front of me, I'm using the front camera. So the issue you can sort of see is that if you look at this picture here, we have this sort of parallax issue occurring, and we want to correct that, and we have this image. Now, the first question is, where do I get this image from? So, that I can print out, and, what I do is I stick it onto a little bit of card so it lies nice and flat in front of the iPad. So where do I get that image from? Well, the easy way to get the image is, and the more button is left of the little picture, and this is a little icon picture of this. So if you press the more button, you can see we've got various options. So the one we want to look at is print, save, target. So if I select that option, you can see that I have two further options. I can either save to my camera roll, which you can do if you want to print out later on, or you're disconnected from a printer and you want to send it to a PC or a Mac that is connected to a printer. You can save it as an image. Or if you've got a network printer set up and your iPad is set up to print to the network printer, you can just print it directly from here. So once you've saved it, you'll have a copy of this image. So that's the first thing to remember. Where do I get this image from? That's where I get that image from. The second image is this one. Where do I get this image from? Well, again, it's in the same location. We go up to the More button, and instead of this top option, Print, Save, Target, we're going to say Print, Save, Helper, and this is called the Help. So if we select that one, you can see we've got the same options again. Save this as an image to the camera roll, or print it to the network printer. Okay, obviously I've already done this, so I don't need to do that, and there it is mounted onto my board. So I have both of these printouts, and I use both of them for different reasons. So the first one we're going to do is we're going to go through basically using the automatic mode to get the Camera Lucida software to view this image itself and to look at all these patterns that have been printed out on this sheet, and to use those patterns to set it up into the exact right parallax mode that we need. And that's very easy. All we have to do is press this button in the top left hand side that says Auto. When we press that button, it will automatically look at this image, compare it to its own image of this image inside, and it will try and get the two in direct alignment. So if I press that one now, what it's doing is it's processing, as it says it's working, and now it's finished. And that was literally about 5 seconds. And it says, would you like to visually confirm your camera's adjustment? So you can see how now the image is now nice and square on the screen, which is great. So maybe we think it's not quite as good as we want. So what we do is we say, do I want to visually confirm? I say, yes, I do. So now what it's doing is it's pulsing. And what it's doing is it's pulsing its own image with the image that you've got in front of you, and overlaying the two in the pulse. So you can see sometimes that it's exactly spot on, and sometimes it's slightly out So there is some slight issues. Well, if you want to, you can change the speed of those pulses by changing this slider here. So you can see now the pulses have sped up a lot, and you can see how we've gone from the old parallax where you can see the corners and it's going into alignment. So if we say done, we can either say, right, that's okay, that's good enough for what I want. In 99 times out of 100, I'd say, yeah, that's fine. If you want to, you can do it again. So you go back up to the auto, you press auto, it says working away, trying to get parallax sorted out automatically for you, and it's finished. And again, we go back into checking it, and again, it's pulsing. Anyway, so that's done. So we now have automatically set up the parallax mode with Camera Lucida. So what we would do at this point is sort of say, well, instead of doing this again for the next picture, or when we load a picture and we perhaps had a break and we just want to come back and make sure everything's parallel to each other, we just press the save button here. Save that. Would you like to save these camera settings? Yes. So that's now saved. So in future, all I need to do is press the restore. If you've loaded a picture and it's getting confusing on the screen with lots of pictures and stuff, you can press this little slider which just shows you what's in front of your screen. It doesn't show you the image that you've got loaded. So that clarifies things. So that's it for the automatic mode. We could close the camera icon by pressing the camera, and we are now, for all intents and purposes, ready to draw whatever image we want to draw. So if that's what you want to do and you're happy to use that, which I do quite often, I would say you can stop watching now, and I do go through some other things, but basically that's how you set up parallax. What I'm going to do now is I'm now going to show you the parallax with this template here. So this is another template, and I've shown you how you get hold of this template. So once you've got this template, so at the beginning of the video I showed you how to get hold of it. I'm going to put that in front of my iPad, and what I do is I load the image that I've saved of this. So if I go into my camera roll, and basically I'll scroll till I get that image, there it is, and I'll just load it as an image. So now I've got the image on the screen as if it was an image I was going to draw, and I've also got my working surface here because I'm using the front camera with the OSMO, and I just put my picture in front of it. So if I want to, I can pinch and zoom the image like this, and I can see I can get it very close to what the parallax was. Now, there are some slight discrepancies, but for all intents and purposes, this is exactly correct. And this would not be noticeable on any painting if you were to be out by a fraction of a millimeter, like it is. So as I say, for the majority of people, you only need to use this one, print it out, stick it onto a bit of card, go into the setup and use the auto mode. That's it. That's all you need to do. You can actually adjust this by going into here, and you can obviously start to look at how you can set up your parallax. Now, at the moment, we have just the image that's in front of us. If I press this slider again, I've now got both images loaded. So I've got the image that's loaded on the iPad, and I've also got the image that is in front of me. Normally when you're drawing, you have a blank piece of paper in front of you here on the working surface, and you have the image that you're drawing in front of you. For this parallax, manual parallax, you would load both of these images. So you'd have the image loaded as if it was an image, and you'd also have the image printed out in front of you. Now I know that that is fine. It's absolutely perfect. But if you did want to do some minor tweak, you need to see the controls to allow you to tweak your parallax settings. So if you go into the more settings, you'll see that there is a toggle down here which says show manual control. If I press that, it will show the manual controls down the bottom. If I go back into it, you can see that it's a toggle because it now says hide manual controls. So obviously they're being shown. Now by sliding these sliders across the bottom here, these two, plus these two plus and minus sliders at the bottom here, you can adjust all of the different angles. So if I just show you, if I slide this one around, you can see what it's doing to the parallax. So now I've totally distorted it because I've moved the parallax slider right over there. And if I move it right over here, it goes the other way. The same with this piezoid. So you can see that it's basically going all over the place. So this is how you would set it up manually, or tweak it if you wanted to tweak it. If I press the restore, because I'd saved it when I was in the automatic mode, I saved the settings, if you remember back at the beginning of the video. Just pressing restore puts it back to how that was. So you can see it's set up pretty accurate there. By using these sliders, you are overriding that to basically as if you were going to set the whole thing up manually. Now, I don't recommend you do this way. Reasons why you might want to use this way. Well, sometimes you want things distorted. So let's just say, for argument's say you were doing a picture like I've done before, look at some of my other videos. If you're doing a picture where perhaps you want an effect, so you're drawing perhaps an urban sketch of a building where you want the top like a pin, but you want it to stretch right out to the bottom, or perhaps the other way around. You see some of these images where you have basically a very wide top to the building and a very narrow bottom, like a street that is completely distorted. You may want to use these controls to give you that effect. So that's one of the reasons why you may want to do things manually. To get rid of these controls in the top left hand side and come out of this mode, you just press the camera mode again. Okay, so let's just say you totally messed up all setting and you want to do a drawing. As you can see, the parallax is completely out, it looks completely wrong, and you want to start doing a drawing. The easiest thing, as we've already saved our settings, is to go into the camera and press restore, and that's everything now back how it was. So, and you know, the whole settings is really relative to the angle of your iPad in your stand. So my suggestion is to mark your stand exactly where you have it for the angle at the back, if it's an adjustable back one, and then you always use your stand at that angle, and that way you can just use the save and restore. If you happen to use a different stand, what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to do the auto again with the Camera Lucida picture. You're going to have to do this process again because the angle will be slightly different, and therefore the parallax will be slightly different because you're using a different angle stand. So just remember, if you use a different stand, basically you've got to set up your parallax again depending on the stand that you're using. Anyway, I hope you've liked this video, and if you do, please give it a like and subscribe for loads more Camera Lucida tutorials and how-tos, and hopefully you'll get something out of it and you'll be able to use this fantastic app on your iPhone, iPad devices, and it will help you draw and become a better artist. I think it's a great app. It's probably the most used app I have out of hundreds of apps that I use, and I find it very, very useful. Anyway, as I say, please like and subscribe, and I will see you on the next video.